This episode of the Managing Madrid podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, where you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code Managing Madrid over on manscaped.com. And as always, you guys know the drill. Manscaped Man of the Match Award. It goes to the player who manscaped the most before the game, therefore performed the best on the field. And it is my great honor to present Sam Sharp. It's been a while since he's been on a post-game podcast. Sam Sharp is going to present our Manscaped Man of the Match award for England's 1-0 win over Serbia. Sam, who you got?
Might have been years, by the way. I'm freshly shaved for the occasion, and I think I'm going to have to go with Jude Bellingham, who stood out, to be fair, for England. They were pinned back for 45 minutes, but Jude, was still one of the stronger players for England, if not the best on the field.
Congratulations, Jude Bellingham, for winning the Manscaped Man of the Match award. Listeners, if you want to perform like Jude Bellingham, if you want to score England's opening goal in the Euros, if you want to be a Ballon d'Or contender, if you want to be the guy who was the only guy probably capable of bringing it home and anti-jinxing the Harry Kane tournament jinx, it might be him. So if you want to perform like Jude Bellingham, go to manscaped.com, use code Managing Madrid for 20% off and free shipping. Once again, that's manscaped.com. Use code Managing Madrid for 20% off and free shipping. And by the way, happy Father's Day to all the amazing fathers out there. You guys rock. Let's get into it. England 1, Serbia 0, post-game show. Let's get it.
Nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
All right, welcome everyone to the Managing Madrid podcast. We're recording this about 10 minutes after Serbia lose to England. And it wasn't entirely comfortable for England, but they got the job done. They got the W. Sam Sharp is here with me, Kian Sobani. We're doing about 20 to 25 minutes, covering all of Real Madrid's players after the game concludes. It's no exception today. Sam, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad at all. Live from England. But how are you? You okay?
I'm good, bro. You're the one who's in England. What's it like outside? If you just open the window right now, are there people naked dancing on cars? Is there flares? What's going on?
I'll tell you what it is. It's cold. Yeah, it's disappointingly cold, as it is every summer. But the excitement is always real during tournaments. And yeah, the amount of Brits that are out there celebrating, it means a lot to come to tournaments and win games. In England, they never seem to do it the easy way. So to get the win is important, but they are going to have to build on and improve on those performances.
What's it like for you personally? Like, are you like hooligan? You're not from a scale of casual fan to hooligan. Where are you on the England fandom spectrum?
I mean, I know a few, but I'm pretty casual these days. I mean, when I was a kid, the problem is it's just been disappointment. I wasn't around in 1966, so every tournament has just been some form of disappointment. So at this point, I think the squad is actually perfectly talented and capable of going on to win trophies. You expect the worst at this point. Yeah.
I'm very proud to announce that for the first time in my life, I am supporting the English national team just in support of Jude Bellingham. I'm here. We need to raise the Jude Bellingham flag. The whole Bellingham PR thing has become such a nonsensical agenda that it's now he has anti-PR. We need to re-jinx it. People have come out and said his PR is too strong, and enough people have come out and said it. His PR has gone down because of this. We have to bring it back, Sam. This guy is so good, and I'm amazed at his performance today. I'll tell you why. First of all, it was nice to see him kind of in that 10 role, where in my opinion, that's his best role, right? Because he is so good defensively, he is so good offensively, but he is so good at controlling the tempo as well. If you give him a free role where he's roaming around, that suits him really well because he has the brains to be in the right space and he has the technique and execution to get you in the right spots, and he works his ass off defensively. In the first 13 minutes, Sam, you saw it leading up to the goal. He starts off in the cruise position, kind of as a left CM. He's getting a lot of touches there. He's circulating possession. Then he goes over to the right side, that right half space. He's linking up with Saka. He's receiving the ball between the lines. He's always there as an outlet for ball progression. And then he's flying in for that header to open the scoring. I thought those 13 minutes were like a great encapsulation of how to play the 10 role on both ends of the field. And
yeah,
you know, it obviously didn't turn out to be as comfortable as I thought it would be for England up until that point. But those first 13 minutes and the first half largely were pretty good.
Yeah, and I think you're right. He portrayed that role for all the right reasons because Serbia, they had two banks of a 5 and a 4, which, you know, normally is going to be difficult and frustrating to break down. And it didn't go England's way in ways that I didn't predict because Serbia, in fact, they came out to play. And I guess in tournament football, you have to. You've got 3 games to get 4+ points, otherwise you're going home. So you have to take risks. So they can't just sit back when they're 1-0 down. But again, without that late run into the box and that bullet header, it would have been really frustrating for England more than it was because it was not an easy win.
You covered the post game piece for managing Madrid. What stood out to you?
I think it's just a kind of fluidity and positioning, not just for Jude, as you say, who operated on the left and then moved on to the right, but for everyone. Obviously, starting Trent in midfield is, I'm not going to call it a risk, but it's certainly a different position for him. And with Luke Shaw not fit as well, Trippier has to cover in at left back at the moment. But all the other players, they were just fluid with their movement. Even, and I don't like it, but Harry Kane was dropping deeper as things got more frustrating in the second half. Phil Foden, again, perhaps because he's not quite this natural winger, but he wasn't operating as wide as I think Southgate would have liked. But in the first half, it worked because, as you say, the fluidity of the positions mean that Serbia didn't exactly know what spaces to cover and which players to follow. And it worked in England's favour. And until they actually came and took the game to England, England were pretty in control of that game until about 40 minutes in, I'd say. And that's when things got difficult. And for the reflection purposes of Southgate, he should be looking at what went wrong when Serbia brought the game to England, because that wasn't a comfortable viewing.
Harry Kane in this game, 24 touches. 22 of those were in the second half. I wouldn't consider most of those touches in very consequential areas. Like, I don't think he, despite getting on the ball more in the second half, I didn't really like his performances. I didn't like his passing in this game. And he's generally a very good link-up player. I think this was one of his worst performances that I've seen in a long time. His most notable contribution was there was a near goal line clearance where he just heads it off, almost off the line. There was a shot off a corner.
Yeah.
But he struggled offensively. But I noted the fluidity too, Sam. In the first half in particular, where England were more in control, Serbia lined up in those banks of 5 and 4, like you mentioned. They were playing compact in this mid to deep block. And I thought, like, when you're facing a defensive block like that, the way England approached it was actually correct. If you look at all of those channels in between Serbia's lines, there was an England player occupying all of them. Whether it was Foden or Saka or Jude or Kane, they had 4 to 5 players between the lines at all times ready to do something. What happened in the second half essentially was that I think Serbia just became more aggressive. They brought their line higher. They started to press a little bit more, and they started to, like, their subs were pretty good. Like, I'm not a Serbia football expert, but that Mladenovic guy was getting behind stones. Like, his speed and his dribbling, like, that was causing some problems. They just played a little bit better. And I don't know. It's interesting because this England team is kind of weird, like, very talented.
Yeah.
Something about it just, I don't know what it is, but.
Well, this is the thing. There's almost a curse with England because they've always had world-class players. They always have. And I remember watching in 2006, 8, 10, all the tournaments over the years. And we're talking Rooney's, Lampard's, Gerrard's. There is, I don't know what it is, because there's something with certain players that just don't gel. And I know everyone plays for different clubs and they're in different environments and they have to come in and make it work. And some players are left out, and there's this kind of harmony thing that always goes on with international football. Within England, you're right. There's something extra where they just don't always hit the levels that these players are capable of, and that's effectively what leads to the disappointment, because it's not always finals and semi-finals. Sometimes it's quarterfinals, sometimes it's group stage exit, sometimes, you know, in past years we've not even made tournaments. I'm thinking of 2008 when we lost to Croatia in the qualifiers above all else. But yeah, there is an issue with England. I don't know if it's the traditionalism in terms of management and the senior side of things. But it is something where England, they just don't express themselves the way they can. But the positive side is when you have players like Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden, we have seen some fantastic tournaments from England. And recently as well, they made the last Euros final, and they should be expecting to be one of the favourites in this tournament. And that wasn't always the case 10 odd years ago. You'd think they'll be out in the quarters. They might make a semis if they're lucky. So expectations have raised, but there is this kind of, I don't know, it's like a weight on their shoulders, and you see it when they're playing. You look at people like Kane, you look at Phil Foden today. They are not playing the same they do for their clubs, and that's something. It's an issue England have always had, and I don't know if it's going to be fixed anytime soon.
So I saw this mini debate raging on whether or not they should play the way they played in the first half moving forward, and what the skeptics were on about were basically like, Jude Bellingham is amazing, but should he be the focal point? And you saw this like kind of weird debate floating around that, well, maybe we should just be pumping the ball to Saka and just letting him burn wingers and get passed into the box and play more rigid. And I don't think so. I think catering to your best player is fine. I also think like, hey, it's okay to learn from Real Madrid at some point. Like the positional freedom and the flexibility that Carlo allows his best players really works. And it does have drawbacks. It may have some other dominoes that get set off. Like, you know, you're not always in the position to recover defensively if you have that positional freedom. But I thought that first half from England looked really good. I thought it looked really good.
No, absolutely. And as you say, Jude Bellingham will win you the game, and ultimately today he has got England the 3 points. So I think it was important that he was the main man, and obviously it came from Saka, and the cross took a pretty nasty deflection. But the fact that late run and it timed perfectly for him led to the power on the header, it was perfect, and he should be the main man at all times for England. Again, Harry Kane will score more goals and could be the focal point as well, but it should come through Jude Bellingham, because England, they try and play. You know what I mean? So it doesn't just start from Pickford and end up at Kane. It has to go through someone, and Jude Bellingham should be that man. Even if it goes out to the channels to Saka, who can pace his man and put a cross in for Kane or Bellingham, great. But Jude Bellingham has to be the focal point of England.
The goal he scored, as you said, the timing of the header, the power he got behind it, the run he made to just sprint to get to that zone, it came off the back of like he was deep. He was deep. I think he distributed the ball and then he sprinted into the box. That is the bonus you get with giving somebody like him tactical flexibility, some freedom to roam, because he can in one play he affects multiple different parts of the game. He is again defending, and then he distributes the ball. He sprints into the box. He's arriving at the top of the box as an extra player. Especially when you have a player like Harry Kane, who is so good at finishing, the gravity that he'll naturally, you know, kind of suck around with defenders trying to focus on him. People like Jude are going to get some free space to meet those crosses. So I think that first half, they can build on that. That looked great. But, you know, it's a long tournament. I think this was a great start. I think it's okay that they struggle a little bit in the second half. You know, no game is going to be perfect from start to finish, and you can kind of learn from it. But I thought it was great. I really like Jude in this game. He also had some great tackles in this game, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, he showed his physicality. All the statistics before the game were on the kind of stature of the Serbian players and how they would try and bully their way into the box and try and, you know, score some crosses and some headed goals. But yeah, Jude really threw his weight about, and he stood up to the Serbians. And I think England did physically quite well, to be honest. It never looked like it was just going to be a dirty game full of crunch tackles. But, you know, when it needed to get physical, Jude certainly was there to stand up.
Were there any England players that stood out to you for better or worse?
Pickford, to be fair, was called upon today, and you need a sharp goalkeeper. And yeah, I suppose he stood up when it was needed. For worse, I think Foden was disappointing. I don't want to just throw criticism on him because I know a lot of people are going to do that. And I think he honestly is a phenomenal football player who could be, just as crucial as Jude. So they obviously need to work it out if Jude's going to play the 10. I don't like Foden as a winger as much, especially on the left-hand side. But you're obviously not going to take Bukayo Saka away from the right. So they need to work that out a little bit. But yeah, Foden I thought was really disappointing, to be fair. And I won't say much more about it because there's a lot to fix. The defense looked okay. I thought Kyle Walker was fine. And it's just those kind of two centre back pairings that England need to watch because they haven't had those consistent centre backs for a few years now. John Stones is a great level, but obviously it's been Gehe at times. At other times it's been Harry Maguire. So yeah, the centre back pairing is something to keep a little eye on. But in terms of standout players other than Jude, I think Saka had a good first half and then kind of disappeared a little bit in the second. Jared Bowen came on and was really good. But I expect to see Cole Palmer as well. He didn't play. And I think he still has something to say in the next couple of games.
I thought Guehi actually looked pretty good.
Yeah, he did.
I thought he had some strong defending in transition, was pretty good defending crosses. I didn't mind him, but I thought, who was that didn't get in apart from Palmer? Shaw's injured, as you said.
James Maddison was left at home. Jack Grealish was left at home. Memory game now. Marcus Rashford was left at home. It's actually quite a long list when you look at it of talented players. Jadon Sancho, who I thought actually might make the squad, but I guess it was just kind of late with his form at Dortmund. A few players that are flair players, bring a bit of pace and bring some attacking strength in, but they can do the job. The squad we have can certainly do the job.
Yeah, Rice was good too. I like Rice. I like Rice in this game. Composed under pressure. TAA in midfield. You touched on him a little bit earlier. I thought his touches on the ball were also pretty good. Interesting.
He has the skill set for it. I mean, he certainly has the skill set for it. I don't know if the midfield, again, a lot of people in England are calling for the Rice, Bellingham, Foden kind of route. I don't really mind. I like Bellingham in that 10 as you do because, again, he can be the focal point and he gets the goals. He gets those important moments right. TAA, I think, and there's so many quality fullbacks in England. It is tough. It's a manager's headache, but yeah, I certainly prefer him in his stronger position. I'm not saying he gets in over Walker at all, but yeah, there's a lot of moving around that the manager has to do because, again, he has great players in certain positions and then he lacks in others.
Yeah. England's next game is
Denmark.
What day is that one?
That's Thursday. I can't tell you the date though. Is it the 20th?
England, Denmark on Thursday. That's a big day. That's also Copa America opening day. Canada versus Argentina. Big day, Thursday.
Hey.
Yeah. Oh. Do you have any concluding thoughts on this game before we wrap it up here?
I think the only thing I'll be worried about with England is I expect them with the 3 points now to progress. It's just when, they play stronger teams and they really do have other teams who are creative and very, very sharp and attack coming onto them and pushing forward. I want to know how they will respond to that because there was no plan B today. They literally just struggled for 45 minutes and effectively pulled on for the win. They're great against teams where they know they're better and there's going to be, a low block and a couple of banks that are going to be sat back. It's fantastic because you can get players like Jude and Foden on the ball. What I think is going to be concerning is the latter parts of the tournament where the better teams come and they play England.
It was a little bit of a Real Madrid-esque performance, wouldn't you say?
I mean, it was a Real Madrid-esque winner, that's for sure. It is exactly what Jude does at club level, coming into, effectively be the difference. And I suppose it was it was certainly like they held out, didn't they, for 40 minutes there at least. And we've seen that at Real Madrid. But
the reason I say that is because I don't think they looked particularly great, but they knew how to grind it out.
Yeah, and effectively they did. I didn't always get that feeling that they did know, which was, I think, what the biggest concern was. But towards the end, it looked comfortable, and you knew they were going to see out the 1-0.
Also, what was interesting, which I didn't really realize until I reflected after the game when I was looking at the numbers, it felt like more actually happened than it did. And I think that's because England did most of their attacking in the first half. Second half, they had
Yeah.
that chance where Kane hits the bar from the header. But second half was actually it dragged on, kind of boring, because Serbia were a little bit better and England were struggling a little bit to, I don't know, match the pace of the game. And then I was looking at the XG, like, and I thought England had way more, but they didn't. So England's XG 0.52, Serbia 0.17. It was actually quite an uneventful game offensively when you put it all together.
Yeah, and I suppose
So-
if you go back and watch the game, I think that'll be clear, because most of the shots that I can remember from Serbia and England, to be fair, were crossed into the box or long shots. There wasn't many wild work combinations where there was clear-cut chances. Even the goal, I think Jude Bellingham timed the cross perfectly, but if it didn't get that ricochet, perhaps it wouldn't have gone as well as it did anyway.
Yeah. So just a reminder. So, excuse me, Sam is going to be our England guy. So hopefully England go far into the tournament so we can get Sam on the podcast. What, like at least 6 more times if they get to the
Absolutely.
final, something like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I'll just also divert everyone's attention to the screen if you're on YouTube. We took yesterday off in terms of podcasting, but not in written form. So Spain and Croatia analysis. There's multiple Spain-Croatia pieces. Mehdi has the data visual recap. Yash Sakur wrote about Modric, and Sam Leverage wrote about Carvajal and Nacho. And there's just so much happening on the website right now. And also, look at this. Managing Madrid live in Mumbai. That's happening. Siddharth Ramsundar, June 23rd. You can go to the website and book your tickets if you're in Mumbai and go see Sid and that show. And Sam just wrote about Jude Bellingham. And we got a lot. So tomorrow, we got France. We'll be doing the post-game show for that. And because we're doing this after every game, it's going to be 20, 25-minute reactions. Nothing crazy. Turkey on Tuesday, Germany on Wednesday. And then beyond that, I don't know. I'll have to look at the schedule. But it's pretty much every day. Sam, any concluding thoughts here?
It's coming home. That's all I can say.
Okay. If anyone can do it, it's
Maybe.
Jude. I'm putting my money on it.
Yeah, right.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Sam, thanks, bro. Enjoy
Thank you very
the rest of
much.
your day. We'll see you on Thursday,
will.
buddy. Take care.
See you soon. Thank you very much.
Peace.